Hi, and welcome to the Haverhill Journal, where we give you a quick look at what's going on in our city. I'm Lindsay Paris, and this week we're premiering Made in Haverhill, a brand new series where we take a step-by-step look at products that are being made right here in the city. And we'll also be stopping by NECC for the premiere of Archie's Betty. But first, everyone in town has been watching the massive steel framework that's risen 5 stories in the air over the past weeks on Merrimack Street at the Harborplace site. The construction crew invited the Journal into the work zone for an up-close look at downtown's biggest building project in over 20 years.
My name is Ron Trombley. I'm Managing Director of the Greater Haverhill Foundation, and we're very pleased to be one of the joint venture partners in the Harborplace development here in Haverhill. Things have moved ahead nicely, and we're excited about where we're at and to start to see steel coming out of the ground. It was a very special day 3 weeks ago now. Things are flying now. It's tough to get out of the ground. You tear the buildings down, you never know what you have in terms of subsurface conditions. And we had a few challenges as we get into it, and actually found an old sewer line that was running from Merrimack Street down under the site to Wall Street and then down to the city sewer system. But ultimately, those things have been redirected now. The work has been done. Foundation works, piers and pilings was all done. And as we said, now steel is going up. Where as you go down there, take a look, and a lot of people are, you're up to 5 stories now, and that's very exciting to see.
Okay, here's more of a plaza level or street level view. We are currently looking at a concrete placement, one-line wall, which is the westerly most part of the project. Got some footings going in, being placed currently. We have previous placement was an areaway that provides ventilation from the parking garage up through the plaza deck.
We're very excited about HC Media. Going to be down here on the first floor and bringing all that studio activity, and I know they do work with Northern Essex students. Great to have that coming downtown.
I say we're currently looking at the foundation placement for the remaining portion of the plaza and also the entrance to the parking garage. So everything to our left here will be all parking garage, and right where we're standing will be the entrance to the parking garage.
You're now going to see progress. There'll be pouring floors and concrete floors inside, and then after that you'll start to see the sheathing start to happen in terms of and then the bricking, windows being installed and such. So the time frame for delivery, and we call it delivery of core and shell, in a project like a development like this, the schedule is to deliver that space probably mid-July of 2016. And as you'll start to see going into the winter months and early spring, as things continue, the construction of the plaza, and ultimately next June, we're all going to be able to walk out and reconnect with the Merrimack River for the first time in over 100 years on grade from Merrimack Street.
HC Media will be opening our brand new location on the first floor of Harborplace's Building A, so naturally, the Journal will be following the build until the day we walk into that new studio. Interested in seeing how stuff gets made? So are we, which is why today, the Journal's kicking off Made in Haverhill, where we go behind the scenes exploring some of the city's most fascinating manufacturing operations. On this first episode, we're visiting prestigious piano manufacturer Mason & Hamlin Piano Company. At their Duncan Street location, craftsmen blend old-fashioned artisanship with modern technology to create what's been called the finest piano in the world.
Welcome to Mason & Hamlin. I am Bruce Clark, lead design engineer, and I will show you around the factory today. Mason & Hamlin pianos are widely regarded as among the world's finest. The pianos have a wonderful, lush voice and an excellence of construction that make them very desirable. Most of our pianos go to professional musicians to whom a fine instrument is a capital investment rather than a consumer item. Mason and Hamlin was founded in Boston in 1854 by Henry Mason and Emmons Hamlin. In 1932, during the Great Depression, Mason and Hamlin, Chickering, and Knabe, three of the best in American piano history, consolidated manufacturing into the Aeolian American plant in East Rochester, New York. In 1989, the Falcone Company moved Mason and Hamlin into our current location at 35 Duncan Street in Haverhill. The plant has approximately 90,000 square feet of manufacturing space spread over 6 floors plus a basement. Building a piano starts with the rim. Pressing a rim is much like laying the keel in a sailboat. Thus, we begin our tour in the rim room.
This is the pressing room or the rim room. And here basically we press things to shapes. The rim presses are all curved presses that make the shape that you know as a grand piano. Now a rim is made up by many small thin layers that are bent around to form with glue. And once the glue sets, that's how you hold the shape. And again, the rims are all made out of maple, which is absolutely superb material for making rims. This is an inner rim press for a concert grand piano. This is for a 9'4" piano, which incidentally we designed and brought into being here. And so you can see it's got the shape of the piano there. What you do is you put glue on the laminations, you bend them around the form, clamp them. When the glue is dry, you have a rim. This is a stack of laminations for a rim we're getting ready to press. Okay, so you can see there's 2 layers of plastic laminate and then the layers of maple, the maple wood, which will go into making the rim. Now what they're going to do is they're going to run it through the glue spreader. They're going to apply glue to both sides of everything except the 2 outside layers. And then they're going to bend it around one of the rim presses and clamp it into place. And so as you can see now with the rollers, it will just pull the layers right through. You notice there's a brass caul sheet there that distributes the pressure from the cauls on the thinner outer rim, but you see now there's glue on both sides. They will then run the individual maple layers through. And again, this is a process that goes back as long as people have been making bent rims. Once the glue's on it, they have to move.
Yeah.
We have about 20 minutes to get it under clamp pressure. Typically we do it in under 10. Each one of those clamp screws is capable of about 48,000 pounds. But you need to have 150 pounds per square inch on any of these glues, otherwise you have a weak glue joint. You need that kind of pressure.
Right. Where do we go now? We go in the next level?
Next floor up. Here we've assembled what we would call a skeleton. This, you might say, is the inner structure of a grand piano. It's been CNC machined also, and so it's all fit together now. And so as you see, this is a very sturdy structure. This is a maple rim. This is as sturdy gets, right? This is poplar posts. This piece right here is a belly rail.
Oh.
And so this big structural piece here.
Okay.
And it's upside down at the moment.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so the soundboard is mounted on the other side. The strings would be farther this way. But here now we've assembled everything and we're basically ready to rock and roll. So this is the rough mill where we take wood when it comes in. We basically get it put together into pieces that are the appropriate size for whatever we're making on the CNC router over there. You can see basically the wood, it'll get cut into widths on the straight line rip. It'll get sanded to thickness on an abrasive planer. It'll be glued together into panels or blocks. And so everything on this side of the first floor is setting up to go over there to be machined to whatever it needs to be machined to. Okay, let's go up to the second floor. Now on this floor we do traditional piano making. This is a fixture to assemble a skeleton, which is the core structural element in the piano. So you have stops and clamps and what have you, but at the end of the day you assemble a skeleton, and people from 100 years ago would understand this fixture perfectly.
Like you said before, it's basically a 19th century process.
It is.
You know?
Fundamentally, grand pianos or pianos of any kind are a 19th century product. And many of the things in the factory today are entirely understandable by people who made them 100 years ago. This is a tension resonator. It is a feature that Mason and Hamlin brought into existence. It adds a steel truss rod system to this incredibly strong structure we already have. It pretty much guarantees that the rim holds its shape. And so you can see the posts, you can see the belly rail, you can see the rim. So let's look at the case making now. Here what we're doing is assembling the case. This is the outer rim. This is the skeleton, or part of the skeleton here. The plate's already been set to this and then taken off. We just don't want to handle the weight of the cast iron plate through the rest of the process. They will mate back together after the finish is on it, and then it'll get strung. So let's just go up to the soundboard room. Soundboards are thin pieces of spruce. They're, in our case, about 11-30 seconds thick. Now here's a soundboard that has ribs attached. There's a bridge on the other side. The soundboard makes the sound pressure waves that you actually hear. This is equipment for gluing bridges on. All this is these are air cylinders on magnets that I can put absolutely anywhere. Every piano has a cast iron plate. Pianos have between 40 and 50,000 pounds of tension strung across that plate, so you need something with the strength of cast iron to be able to hold it. This is what the plate looks like after we've done all of the finishing work on it. It's all smooth, it's all been filled. When you're making a beautiful instrument, the expectation is it's beautiful in just about every possible way. Now over here, what we're doing is setting a plate. This is one of the most skilled jobs in the factory. When people say hand craftsmanship, this is the one that leaps to mind. You need to notch the bridge like that because where the bridge pins are needs to be a termination for the wire vibrating, and so those need to be exactly in the center of the holes for the bridge pins. If it isn't, you get funny sounds out of a piano. He makes it look easy, it's not.
It's amazing watching the work that goes into creating such an outstanding instrument. Mason and Hamlin welcomes individuals and groups for factory tours. For more information, call 978-374-8888 or visit masonhamlin.com. Archie lovers from all over the country met up at Northern Essex Community College last month for the Haverhill premiere of Archie's Betty, an engaging documentary film focused on the legendary comic strip's connection to our city. At the showing, we got some personal insights into Bob Montana's world from those who knew him and his work best.
I am the filmmaker and writer of the film Archie's Betty, and this film I brought to Haverhill because it's set in Haverhill. It's a story of Archie comics and the connection with Bob Montana, who drew Archie, who went to Haverhill High, loved Haverhill High, thought it was the best school he ever went to, and he went to New York and started drawing Archie comics in 1941. And when he did, he thought back to his Haverhill days and based some events and and more importantly, based characters on people he knew at Haverhill High, on the administrators and on fellow students.
Because everybody can relate to everything, you know, their first crush, their first date, their first kiss, you know, this sort of thing. Or getting into trouble at an age where it was more mischief than it was malicious, you know. And a lot of times getting into trouble was innocent. It was like, you know, our frontal cortex hadn't developed enough to realize there were consequences, and so we would do things, just silly, goofy things that would get us into trouble, which is what Archie and Jughead do all the time.
Well, Bob Montana, of course, was a very visual person because that's what his career was about. You know, looking at pictures tells many words. If you had, you know, the word sad, but just the word, and then you added graphics to it, you really can get that feeling. So for Bob Montana, what he did is he took many things that he saw and incorporated it into the storytelling of Archie. He saw I think it was the hat shop, or the costume shop, or just the naming of his teacher and putting his teacher's names in the story, you know, those people must have had an amazing effect on him for him to put it into his artwork.
I have found that Archie not only is popular in the United States, but around the world. I showed the film in Buenos Aires, and it turns out all over Latin America people are Archie fans. It's called Archie Gomez in South America, but also in India, in Pakistan, in Abu Dhabi, in the Philippines. Archie just sells everywhere.
It's such a thrill to come up and see the documentary here in Haverhill. I have seen the documentary 5 times, but to actually see it in Haverhill and meet some of the people that were connected with the characters that you find in the Archie comic books is going to be just, thrilling. Archie is so lifelike. And when Bob Montana took the pencil to the paper to create these characters and to create his experience that he had himself in Haverhill, it just makes it a little bit more exciting to, be here.
Something about this story, like I guess everybody went to high school, no matter where they live on the earth. Everybody had some good and bad romantic experiences. Everybody had run-ins with their teachers. So it's a very universal story, and it's so light and friendly. And in a world of violence and horrible things, Archie teenagers are good kids, and I think that's a lot of the appeal.
The next local showing of Archie's Betty is at the Brattle Theatre in Cambridge on November 10th. For more information on the film and future showings, visit Archie's Betty on Facebook or at bigsleepfilms.com. It's that time of year for that madcap melee around the city known as the Buttonwoods annual Haverhill History Mystery Scavenger Hunt, Saturday, November 14th at 5 p.m. Teams of 4 to 8 people will be driven around town to solve a set of clues, ending up at the fabulous dinner and after party in an undisclosed location. Register as an individual or group at any Easy Way Cleaners location or by contacting Peter Carboni at 508-320-7710. If you have a story or event you'd like to see featured on the Haverhill Journal, call us at 978-372-8070 or email info@mediahc.org. And don't forget to like us on Facebook or at our YouTube channel, HCTV Haverhill. And that's what's happening in Haverhill the week of November 5th. I'm Lindsay Paris, and we'll see you next time.